back to the Daily Report and welcome to the marketplace. Tonight, we're going to be handling the Hustler Fund. We want to look into the numbers. It is around 18 months old. We have the Principal Secretary here, Susan Mang'eni. You're not new to this studio. Welcome back.
Thank you. And it is my humble honor to be here again, back. How are you? How have you been?
I've been doing very well since last year. We were even chatting up. I was asking you about a few questions that I had asked last time about including, some communities who are marginalized.
Yeah, we are having conversation about that. So to make sure that we reach out to every Kenyan if possible, because the whole purpose of the Hustler Fund is to come up with our credit score, which is kind of a new form of collateralization that then can give access to every Kenyan who is of the age to do business, to access credit. So I know, for example, you asked me about how about the Muslim community, how are we going the Sharia compliant product. So we've had conversation around there, and we have people who are working out on different models. So we hope very soon we roll out one.
And we are looking forward to that. Now let's just touch base on a couple of the numbers that we have. What are we working with right now? How much has been disbursed? How many people are on the site? How much has been repaid? What are the numbers we're playing around with?
So 18 months so far. We have disbursed in terms of the loan portfolio 54.5 billion to about 23.6 million Kenyans. And in terms of saving, remember we have a mandatory saving component. We have saved close to 3.2 billion. This is both inclusive of both, I mean the short term and also the long term saving.
So PS, you're telling me that of course the customers or the number of people on this site is 23.6 million, 54.5 billion is the amount disbursed, and the savings is at 3.2 billion. Now I was on the Hustler Fund site, the platform, of course, the customers, it says, is 23.2 billion, which is, a bit far from 23.6 million. Million, I beg your pardon, which is a bit far from 23.6 million. 52.9 billion is the amount disbursed, and 2.2 is the amount saved, and not 3.2 billion. Where is this disparity?
2.2, I have here data because like I can give you and you can check. So we get, I don't know when that was updated there, but here, if you can see, this is the data that is extracted today morning, which I have here, which I can share, and is extracted from the centralized system of our service providers. It's here. Amount disbursed is 54.5 billion, and you can see it. I can pass it over for you so that you can go through it yourself. So we have a system where we report. Our reporting protocol is that every day we're able to update. So because we have two products, the personal loan product, which is the most popular loan, which this is the first product that was launched, and then we have the group product. So we get that system. So I'm in the reporting cycle where I get updated every day on the numbers as they are. So I don't speak from my mind. So I have here numbers, and you can even verify.
Susan, the site that every Kenyan has access to, that we journalists have access to, the number is a bit different. Are you saying that it has not been updated?
Probably it has not been updated. The last 3 days have been like we've been in some sort of a situation room trying to address some of the concerns that were raised following the report of the Auditor General, who raised a few queries. It's normal. Auditor General raises queries. So because we needed to respond and assure Kenyans that all was well and there was no material loss. So we've been the last 3 days. So I will understand if it's not. But see, the way we report on daily basis is that so the reporting protocols, and remember the Hustler Fund, this is how it operates. So it writes on the telco, on both the telcos and the banking systems. So the telco gives it access which is integrated within the national ID system.
Right.
So you must be a Kenyan citizen, 18 years and above, but also you must have been registered through the mobile networking system. For example, you must be an M-Pesa customer. You must also be either an Airtel customer or a Telecom customer.
Right.
So those two systems. So then from there, the signal is integrated with now the product. The product is settled at the banking system.
Right.
When you see this digital loan being disbursed, it's not the mobile company that disburses. There must be a settlement bank, because those are the ones which are licensed to lend and probably to receive deposit. So it's woven around that infrastructure. So then what happened in our reporting protocols, we see it is because the technical part of it, and because the product is 100% digital. So we get these reports from those technical, the technical systems. So they keep on updating us, and where we get updated every day. So it is possible that our website will not be up to date, because then what happens to our website is that once it has been picked from the service providers, is when now somebody else now transfers and update on the website. So I'll understand why it's not probably up to date. Because of what we've been dealing with.
Susan, I think you would agree with me, between 52 billion and 54 billion is a very large amount of money being disbursed. In 3 days, that disparity is a bit huge.
Well, I do not, you can check when it was last updated. To be honest, I have not checked so far. And also probably because what we have here on day-to-day, remember we have 3 telcos. So those are the disbursement points, or rather the transaction points, the 3 telcos. So it depends. Are we reporting the one, and I will check out. Is what is on a website from only
because I can even
Safaricom?
Show you.
Let me check.
It's right here.
Let me check, because one thing that I know and that which I can tell is that this is not alive.
Right.
So it is not like a live where numbers, it's not a live environment, because this one, the Hustler Fund data resides on these 2 systems, the telco and the banking. So if you are to go, and this is what we get, and I will say it is a telecom person and a bank person that keeps on centralizing this data and putting it where we sit. So probably whoever is supposed to update, I don't know when was this last done. I might be wrong, but if we were to check, I don't know when it was last done. But I'll say the most important thing is this, because if today you even asked our telecom partners and our banking partners, they will give you this figure because they've come from them.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully that number is
anyway,
thank
soon. You. We are going to update this. We picked it up, and thanks for that revelation. Like I've said, it's been it's been a situation, kind of, because you can see this is about 23.2. This is 52.9. And amount disbursed, I said is 54. What I have here as of today is 54.
Because there's a difference of around 2 billion.
And you see, this is the difference about 2 billion where?
52 and 54 billion.
Yeah, so it's a matter of data. And this is the story, data synchronization or reconciliation, I don't know, because this is what I have here.
All right. Yeah. Susan, the Office of the Auditor General is as well saying that, of course, this particular fund has data issues, because I was going through some of them.
You can also tell from this scenario where we are discussing what is in the website. So it's a question of data, data reconciliation, which I will say this is one challenge which we admit, which is now coming out prominently, and I think which we are going to address to make sure that all our platform, be it website, be it media, are all updated, so that those Kenyans who can access the website, who can access, be it these day-to-day messages that we send out, can all be updated and can speak from the same.
All right. And now the Office of the Auditor General, I was telling you, was saying that this particular fund, which is one of, the largest projects of the Kenya Kwanza government, has a lot of information and data issues, because a number of things that they were going through, they were saying that they don't have enough information and the auditing came inconclusive. The Office of the Auditor General says that the audit reveals irregularities at the Hustler Fund recovery of 8 billion Kenyan shillings, loans that is in doubt, money which was disbursed to unregistered persons, and around 200 million. That brings it to 10.6 billion that cannot be accounted for. Where is
10.6 billion?
Yes.
I'm not so sure that's what the report revealed. The report said 10.6 billion probably may not be recovered, cannot be accounted for.
Probably.
And I think what the report of Auditor General in that particular issue was pointing to the repayment issue. Remember, so far, in terms of the capital, we put into this fund the last 18 months a total of 12.8 billion. Out of these, there is 5% mandatory saving, of which 70%, and this happens at the point of accessing the fund at that point. So 70% goes to pension, 30% goes to short-term savings. As and the pension is administered around the RBA, the retirement benefit rule. So meaning you cannot access it as and when you need it, but 30% you can access it within a period of 1 year. For example, last year on 30th November, when we were marking the first anniversary of the fund, we opened up and we asked Kenyans that you can actually, those who wanted to now withdraw their saving, they could draw, and we had so many people who withdrew their saving as we speak today. But you also gave another opportunity to them as a way of enhancing their limit. They could as well lock down their short-term saving for a period of 1 year, and within that period of 1 year, they will have a limit increase which is double the short-term saving. So in the sense that, and this is how it will work. For example, your short-term saving cumulatively was about, let's say, 30,000. So if you decided at that particular time when we open up the window to lock it down for a period of 1 year, so your limit now will be 30,000 times 2. So you now can access up to 60,000. However, because this personal loan products goes up to 50,000, so you can access the maximum, which is 50,000. And so we have so many Kenyans so far, more than 14,000, who are right now have a limit of 50,000 per transaction. And you know our transaction is not a daily transaction. You can transact as many times as you can, provided you repay it back. So we have those who are doing that, and I think you must have noticed that many Kenyans, probably even the website, giving feedback. You see, why am I being told to wait until 2 hours, to wait until 2 hours? One is because you've had the demand, the increase in demand, because every day or every minute you're having a Kenyans who is also turning 18 years, or a Kenyans also who has settled with a mobile number for maybe 3 months, because those are some of the eligibility criteria, and therefore onboarding. And then secondly, we've had the limit increase. We started off with 500 as the base lower limit, or rather minimum limit, and the highest at that particular time was 3,000. Then in February last year, we enhanced the limit. So those people who are borrowing and repaying well, we had those ones who moved from 3,000 who experienced 100% limit increase, 3,000 to 6,000. And that house. So then in December, when we did a second limit review, or rather refresh the limit, and then we also introduced saving-led limit, then we had, for example, this Kenyan who was borrowing, whose limit was 6,000, if this Kenya was performing well, it went to 12,000, but also those who was performing well on the basis of the savings that they had populated or mobilized, and they did not want to withdraw and decided to lock it down. Those ones were having their short-term saving being doubled to give them a new limit. So because of that, the demand is very high. Of course. And I've only putting 12.8 billion, and that's the portfolio that has been growing up to the 54.5 billion that we have disbursed as of today morning.
Susan, maybe let me just quote what the Office of the Auditor General's report read. It says, in these circumstances, the recoverability of outstanding loans totaling 8,219,087,056 shillings, because every shilling is very important,
in doubt,
could result in loss of public funds.
Good. So
in contrast, Susan, in the same financial year, of course, the Exchequer did give 12 billion shillings for the Hustler Fund. There's 8 billion that could not be recovered.
So first of all, let's try to understand, Hibak, which period are we talking about? What audit review period are we talking about? We are talking about an audit review of 7 months.
2022,
yeah, from the time when we did the launch up to 30th June 2023. And within that period, remember, this was a flagship project of His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto, and during campaign he made a promise to Kenya, because we went across the country and we had those grassroots economic forums, and many Kenyans, especially those at the bottom of the economic pyramid, raised their greatest, they decried the cost of credit. And the fact that
the matter of contention is the loss, potential
so I'm coming to that, and maybe if I give you that context, you'll understand why. I do not think that, yes, she raises, and when she raises, what she's just reminding us is that we need now to tighten recovery measures to make sure that that money does not get lost. But let me give you this context. So when Kenyans say that when Kenyans decried, majority of Kenyans decried the cost of credit, and I'm being very intentional here. I'm not calling it financing, I'm calling it credit. Because credit means you borrow and you have to repay. And because of the high interest rates that now, because majority of those Kenyans are often seen by the mainstream financial institution as high risk. And they do not have means of production, they don't have the title deeds, because most of them are women and young people who do not own a land, therefore they don't have title deeds, they don't have logbooks, they don't have all those conventional collaterals that are required in the mainstream financial markets. So they say some predatory lenders, especially operating on digital platform, had taken advantage of them, and they were really hawking very expensive loans to them. In some instances, I'm building. Let me, if I want to respond to you.
We need to go for a very short break. I'll just, I would implore you to maybe sum it up into a sentence.
Okay, let me sum it up. So, so the context is, why did we launch this fund? We launched this fund, number one, to first of all support Kenyans into building up their ability to borrow, or rather to access affordable credit in the mainstream financing. And how do we do that? We had to see how can we transform or how can we revolutionize the collateral system in this country, in our economy, so that majority of Kenyans, majority of them, quite a number of Kenyans who do not have, who are not in formal employment and they do not have title deeds and all those manner of collaterals that are needed, can also access this credit and in the financial market, not necessarily only in the government institution, but in the mainstream, in the private sector. Because we may not, as a government, have enough to give everybody and to sustain. We need to build the ability and the capability so that they go outside there. So having said that, we are only at 18 months. We did not have a way through which we'll establish with this Kenya that can borrow and repay. So we had to run some sort of a credit census, and that's why we open up this facility to every Kenyans 18 years and above who has had a telephone or rather mobile money experience for about 3 months. Yeah, you know. And when I come back, we come back, I think I'll be explaining to you why I don't think that this 10 billion will go unrecovered, because it is a process we're doing. We've now established who are these Kenyans who borrowed one or who do not have the willingness to pay, or we are able now to tell how many of our customers have no ability, or when it comes to the credit sector, it's always a question of whether you have ability to pay or the willingness to pay. So those Kenyans who have defaulted over there, we want to interrogate and see if it's just they have refused to pay or they have ability, and we'll come up with measures that can be able to ensure that they repay. Right,
and I'm already saying that one of the numbers that the OAG gave us is that around 81 million, which has been unaccounted for, are from closed accounts, 129,000 closed accounts. So we can say that that 81 is gone. We go for a short break. When we come back, we look at the numbers even further.